to start this one out. That's okay. Give it a second, make sure we're streaming everywhere. We need to. Busy day, folks. Busy day. Took me a second. All right, we are live. Let me check Twitch. And we are live there as well. Let me go ahead and get the chats and stuff up. Let people stroll on into the stream. Awesome. So, got some cool stuff going on today. So, I don't think we got any resumes in. I don't have my phone, but I don't think we got any resumes in. So we won't have any to do tonight, but we're going to be hopping into looking at setting up a SIEM, getting the logs ingested, and just looking at that part from an engineer perspective. We'll get that going on. Maybe we'll execute a few fun pieces of malware, and we'll see what it looks like in the logs as well. And yeah, we'll see what else we get into this evening. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll dive in. All right. And I'm going to be annoyed for a bit of the day because I forgot my mouse is dead. So I'm like, I'm trying to let it charge while I'm using it, and it's never very fun doing that. So let's do this. Let's get it situated so you can see me better. Beautiful. All right. So last week, let's recap a little bit. Last week, we hopped into my Windows 10 session so you can look to see what processes look like. A couple of different tools as well we played with to interrogate those processes a little bit more, which hopefully some folks learned a bit more than they knew before and saw it from a different perspective they haven't seen before as well. So that was the whole idea. And as you develop your cybersecurity chops, you'll start digging and experimenting more with tools and start to learn more about what's going on under the hood, which is what that was a peek into. And that is going to help you do your job, which is to find bad and tell the story of, well, what bad did when they were in the environment. All right, so that's a little story. Let's go ahead and close this out. Feel free, we got one person in chat already. Feel free to go ahead and ask whatever questions come to your beautiful mind, and we will answer them. So there we go. Just getting my chat up so I can see in the on the screen that I have above here. And what else is going on? So here's some news. I keep kind of sprinkling it. I have put together with one of my buddies. We put together a private community and we put together a free public community. And so we're going to use those to help folks get ready for cybersecurity. I'll start dropping those details soon so people can start joining and checking things out. And yeah, the idea is give a place where people can ask those questions, work, chat with each other, give each other feedback. And for those just thinking about cybersecurity, the free community is a really good place to see if it's a good fit for you. Some people like it, some people don't, some people love it, others hate it. So it's a good place to get the vibes for if it's a good career path for you. What's up, fitness? Welcome back. You're DoorDashing. Hopefully you get some good tips tonight. What's the biggest tip you've got with DoorDash? That's a fun one. Hopefully someone just give you like $100 or $200 randomly. That'd be pretty sick, wouldn't it? Well, hopefully we can entertain you tonight while you're out door dashing. Definitely hope you have a good evening. All right. So yeah, those details will be coming out, and I'll also be giving away, doing fairly frequent giveaways access to the paid community as well, where the paid community is going to be a little bit different. So we have a lot where, I don't know what goes on those other paid communities, but ours is going to be, I'm going to give you actual practical things to work on, where maybe I'll give you a set of logs and say, hey, try to build a narrative based off of these, or do some analysis. Everything in there will be hands-on stuff for you to help start building your capabilities as a SOC analyst. There will be resume workshops, interview workshops. All these things are geared towards making you more hireable is the idea. $30. Oh man, they're doing you an injustice. $30. But that's the idea. Anyways, make you more hireable. I look at this from the lens of me being a hire manager, and I'm trying to get people to get to the spot where, yes, I'd love to hire that person. And not only that, but when they get into that interview, they'll crush it. There's no question in my mind that we should extend an offer. So that is what I look at everything at, and that's where I want to get you folks to. Hey, Adham, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so enough of that. There'll be more details later about all that stuff, but people doing cool stuff. We had someone share a good resume template. That's good stuff. So people doing really cool things with the community. I'll definitely extend vouchers out for access to the community. Those are the type of people I think deserve to be in there. And we need more people like you. So why not, right? All right, tonight, for those just joining us, what are we getting into? We had a good hype going on in the Discord community. So tonight we're going to be setting up a SIEM. So I know this has been a project that a lot of folks have thought about doing, setting up your own SIEM and trying to figure out what that looks like. I would say as a SOC analyst, you wouldn't normally do this, right? This is an engineer, a security engineer. This is their job. And there's actually a couple of jobs in here. So you have people who maintain the SIEM, others that maintain the logging portion of it, the ingestion portion. But it's definitely fun to know what's going into the work to get you the logs that you use to do your job. So that's what we're going to see today. And feel free to follow along. I will drop all the links in chat. So if you want to join me, if you're not door dashing, I know Fitness is out there working hard and we're entertaining them, keeping them company while he's out there. If you're at your computer, please follow along. And if you have questions while you're following along, ask them in chat. I want to make sure you have an idea of what you're doing and you can get your hands on some stuff, because that's how you get job ready, is getting your hands dirty and starting to work through these processes. All right, so speaking of processes, we have Process Hacker here. That's not a SIEM. What do we want to start with? Here's your question. Do we want to go the Elastic route or do we want to go the Splunk route? I am game for either one. They should be both about just as easy to set up. What's the preference in chat? Let me know. We'll set it up. I haven't set up a SIEM in probably a few years, but we'll work through it together. I'm not using a guide, but we'll probably be Googling some stuff. Give me your vote. So vote Elastic or vote Splunk. And we'll set it up. They both have free tiers. Let's see. And while you're voting in chat, I guess we'll keep chatting, keep entertaining here. Does anyone have any big wins this week they want to share? Anything to get some other folks motivated? That stuff is moving. Got any certifications, any interviews? What do we got? All right, so our Fitness wants Splunk. All right. We got one for Splunk. Let's see if we got any other one. We'll give them a few more seconds. Lots of cool stuff. Splunk is a really good one. Splunk querying language, it's tough. And, you know, the good thing is if you can learn Splunk language, you're good for pretty much any of the other SIEMs that are like that. CrowdStrike has a very similar one. You can do some funky stuff with Elastic too if you get used to it. So the only thing that's going to change between these SIEMs are going to be predominantly the syntax you're going to use to do what you do, but it's pretty quick, especially with AI now, where you can be like, hey, how do I do this in this other one? So it's pretty programmatic oriented. So pretty easy once you get the hang of it. But yeah, let's practice. I'll write that down and put a note here that do some SPL stuff. Do some more SPL stuff. We'll take care of you, Fitness. Congrats on the PSAA. This is all TCM, isn't it? Because I'm trying to remember what they stand for. Is it PSAA certification? Practical SOC. Awesome. So tell me, what did you feel about and I know you're trying to work too, so I'm gonna stop asking you too many questions. Because I'm curious, I love to actually chat with you. Maybe one night I can get you on and you can tell us about the PSAA. Because I haven't talked, geez, I haven't spoken with anyone who has done it. So I'm very curious. Let's see what is AP? AP, let's see. I don't know any of these certifications. I'm horrible. Oh, there we go. Practical SOC Analyst, Professional, and Practical SOC Analyst Associate. So all in the defensive track. That's pretty sweet. So hopefully you're picking up some cool skills there. But yeah, like I was saying, I'd love to chat one night, maybe get you on guest speaker, and you can tell us about your experience with it and whether you recommend it, what types of gaps are in there maybe. All those fun things that I know everyone in the community is curious about so they can be more efficient with their time as well. All right. So no one else has spoken up. So guess what? We get to do what Fitness wants to do. So Splunk download. Let's see if we can find it. I think I have to fill out a form or something stupid. Let's see. Download Splunk. See if I can get a download without filling in all my information. That's the trick. They always want you to put in your information. It's called what is it called? A funnel. There you go. Let's see, maybe one of these has a link. Why isn't anything loading tonight? What's going on? What is going on? Yeah, the hands-on certs are where the party's at. If you're not doing hands-on certs, you're doing it injustice for yourself. I know a lot of people focus on all these comp TAA ones. They're not going to help you get a job. I promise you, they're not. They're just foundational information. They're not preparing you for the workforce. They're just giving you some foundational information, like things that you will build on top of later. But you got to get your hands on the keyboard. You got to start doing stuff, or you're going to struggle in the job market because you won't be able to pass the interviews if you're not doing like fitness and doing some of these hands-on courses. You got to do it. And I know it's scary. Some of it's kind of, off-putting because it's intimidating. It is. It can be very intimidating. And I felt the same way when I took the GXPN. Very, very intimidated because it was way over my head. So for those of you who don't know, the GXPN is the exploit dev from SANS. And when I tell you I felt like I was over my head, I felt like I was over my head. They drop you right into assembly. And we're talking about my first year in cybersecurity. I am doing an exploit development course, having to work in assembly, debuggers, decompilers, all that stuff, and it gave me a headache every time I sat down to do the homework. But it's one of those things where you have to get through it, and you just need to sit down and figure out, okay, what must be true in order for me to learn this, and just start chipping away at all the things you need to do to get it. And what's amazing, here's a fun little story on the other side of this, is that this was the highest score I've gotten on a SAN certification. I think this was the one I got the 98% on. I got a high 90 on this one, and it was the hardest one I've ever taken. But, I put in a lot of time. I broke it down and I systematically worked through it until I got the information I needed and I was ready to test. So don't be scared. Moral of the story is don't be scared. You can do it. Just sit down and jot down what you need to know and just work through the most difficult topics. Take a pause. If you don't understand anything, take a pause. What didn't you understand about it? What do you need to go back to and look up? YouTube's huge these days. There's so much information out there on YouTube, tons of blogs. Even AI is really good. Sometimes it'll mislead you, but for the most part, it's pretty good too. So lots of cool things here for you to utilize. I am going to do the Splunk thing on another screen so you can't see all my information, although I'm going to probably put junk information in here. but I'll talk while I'm doing it. I thought I had a Splunk thing already, but probably not. All right. Is my thing not charging? No, it's charging. Can't wait to get my mouse charged so I can stop playing around with it. Let's see, Explorer, Loggle, data. All right, so we need this. And it might not let me pull something down without a business email, which sucks. Let's see. I'll use my InfoSec Wizard one. Speaking of, if you have a resume, send it my way, infosecwizardry@gmail.com, and we'll take care of you. Ah, nope, it won't take. You have to have a business email now. That sucks. Surely there's a good Splunk download that you don't need an email for. Is there a Splunk community maybe? Because then you folks won't be able to do it if you don't have a business email. Let's see if we can find a download for everyone. I believe in it. $13cubed is good though. He's awesome. So definitely utilize it. And you never know. I definitely encourage folks. So not all the SANS courses are great. There's only a couple that I have that I would vouch for that are worth the money. And when you get picked up in the security community, hopefully one of your employers will pay for it. Hopefully. But a lot of people will. They'll give you a training budget. What I was going to say is there are also several, what do they call them? College, what's the word I'm looking for? The things where you can get, they'll give you money, they'll give you free certifications. You just have to put in for them. And I'll put that up on the screen real quick. Let's see if I can find them. SANS, course, let's see. What's it called? SANS. I'm trying to think of the word. My brain is fried after working all day. What's it called? SANS. We'll look at vet success because I know that's one of them. This is the one I did. But there are opportunities for folks to get free SANS certifications. Is it that one? Let's see. Oh, this is a PDF. Immersion Academy. That's what we want. SANS Immersion Academy. Or is it over here? SANS Immersion Academy. So scholarships. That is the word I'm looking for. Golly, my brain is wild. All right, let's see. What is up with this internet? I got fiber. Let's go, people. One, I'm using Bing, so that's probably problem number one. We'll trash Bing. Boy. All right. Here we go. Maybe. Here we go, SANS Academies. God, sure. I'm just trying to get to the information, people. Let's see. So I'm trying to get at where the different academies are that you can apply for. So you have different ones for different groups of people. So here we go. So women in tech. Here's one, Idaho Veterans, Southeastern Cyber Workforce Alliance, Cyber Workforce Academy. So I'm going to drop this in chat. So check it out. You may qualify for any one of these programs. You never know fitness. And it's all completely paid for if you get into this program. For the Vet Success one, so I know there are some veterans on here watching. It's free. I got 3 free certifications. They might only do 2 now, but it's completely free. So that's the really cool part about it. It's worth a shot. it's worth a shot. One of my other buddies got into it as well. One of my friends who worked at the VA clinic with me, he got into it. So they're giving it away. You know, it's one of those things I thought was a long shot as well. And he found it, told me about it, and I got into it first. And it's kind of like, yeah, why not? Give it a shot. You know, what's the worst thing that'll happen? They'll say no. So, ooh, we got hiccups now. So yes, please put in for it, and you never know. All right, I am trying to find us a free copy of Splunk so I can give the link. First of all, let's get out of Bing. This stuff is wild. I hate Bing. You know, it's so bad with Bing. At one point, they were paying people to do searches in it because no one wanted to use it. Isn't that something? Crazy. Let's see. Free Splunk download. This is probably going to be the same link we had before. Business email. I just want a normal one. Oh, it took a .edu, so maybe it's anything but a .com. So let's try just see if we can get through. We'll just put some other email, and if it doesn't require us to like go to our inbox, then we'll be fine. But if it requires us to go to an inbox, then we're in trouble. It's asking me to validate Windows. I put in a valid key. I'll have to troubleshoot that later. See that down there at the bottom? Activate Windows. Always, so I have my pen testing laptops I send out, and they always have Windows installed because it's the same price whether you have something installed or not. And I always just take the keys. So there's like a command you can run to get the Windows key. And so I grab that and just save it for stuff like this. And then I re-image the laptop and put Kali on it. So I use one of those. Maybe I use it by accident somewhere else. But I think I only have one other Windows VM, and I think I have 3 keys, so it should be fine. All right, here we go. Maybe we'll look at the source code. Maybe it'll send us somewhere as well. Let's see. Everything's so goofy here. This thing's driving me nuts. Can't even type. I'm not sure what's going on, folks. I don't know why it's so wild today. Maybe we have to restart it, but it might lock us out if we do that. Maybe Walmart.com? I don't know. I'm going to do a fun password here. Let's see. Let's look at some random stuff. There you go. There's a good strong password. Always do like a random one. I just look around at objects in the room. Oh, and we need a character. Oscar, Grouch, Puppet, 894 765 3214. Oh, didn't like that one. And I don't even know how to spell Sesame Street. There you go. take it, and then 26744. I'm just making up stuff. 26710 maybe. Oh, that works. I just made up numbers. Let's see what happens. These forms, man, these little sales funnels. That's what it's called. If you were wondering why they do this, it's a sales funnel. They're collecting your emails. They want to sell to you later. Because why not? Maybe it took it, but it wouldn't let me. Sheesh. All right. Give me a second, folks. I'll be right back. I'm going to check I think I have a Splunk account for my company. Let me see if I can go ahead and download that real quick. Log in and download. I'll be right back, okay? Hang in there. I'll be right back. I promise. Gotta go find my phone. I left it somewhere. All right, I'm back. I told you I'd be back. How about that? Okay, so I'm gonna see if I have a Splunk password. Then I'm gonna log in and download it. Someone said if you have a .edu, you can do it that way. I'm pretty sure I have one for my company. Let's see. Boo. Okay. I just really don't want to get marketing from these people. No, it sounds so bad, but I really, really don't. I'll give them my info app. And then I need to come up with a password here. So I was doing a pen test this week, and it's a good time. It's a good time being tired and working and doing a pen test. But there's some cool stuff. Sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised by the difficulty of a company. And when that happens, it's awesome. Because sometimes you come into companies and you just run right through them, and it's not very fun. And then other times you come in and you really have to work for it, and it's a really, really good thing. I'm having to do a capture now because people are actually learning from their mistakes. So a lot of times you would think people pay a lot of money for a pen test and they go back and they fix all the findings, right? Oh my gosh, now they have a thing to stop us from stop me from getting stuff. Jeez. Let's see if they sent me an email. But yeah, you would think people pay a lot of money for a pen test, and they would make sure they fix all the things. But that's not necessarily true. I've had a lot of cases when I worked for a big company that the clients would have the same findings year after year, and it was really boring, and it was really kind of sucky that you spend all this time and effort doing a good report, finding stuff, and they didn't do it. But when you do find the companies that really dig in, right, and want to be a partner in security with you, then you're good. And you're actually doing something good because they're getting better. So that's the type of stuff I think most pen testers like to see, people actually getting better. So just something to think about. All right, so let's look to see. I wonder if chats, let's see. Let's go to AI mode, see if AI can find us a link to the download. It's so terrible. We were going to fitness. We were going to do Splunk. We might have to do Elastic, but we'll give it one last go. Golly, yep, nothing here. Let's see, is there a link directly to the download without a user account? Let's see if it knows what I'm talking about. She's get a wget curl link while oh yeah. Let's see. Here we go. Someone has maybe an answer. Surely, because I remember before you just got a link and you could go to it afterwards, and you didn't actually need to log in or anything. Let's see. Oh, this is without user interaction. That's not what we need. That's not what we need at all. Let's see. Well, someone see if you can find it for me. I don't want to hold up this fun time by sitting here continuously digging for something. Next time I'll come prepared. How about that? And I'll put that on my to-do list. So I'm keeping track of my to-dos here of what I want to do. So I'm at it here. Let's see, SPL for fitness. I'm gonna put who it's for so I can know who to reach out to. And then we want find Splunk download link. So we'll see if we can find that. Probably won't find it next week, but I'll get it out there. Let's see if we can find an Elastic one. Hopefully they don't make us do the same. Elastic download. Because we're about to download Elastic Beats, which is for log ingestion, file beats there, and then we'll also need the Elastic software itself. I'd prefer if we had Splunk going because I like Splunk better than I like Elastic, but you know, beggars can't be choosers tonight. I just want to show everyone how to do this. Let's see. I don't know why I have no clue why my computer's being so slow. This is like one of those cases where I'd reboot for sure, but I don't know if it would break anything if I rebooted, which is the bad thing. All right, let's see. Search solved. I don't want the cloud, so I'm trying to make sure we don't get the cloud. Let's see, Elastic. Let's see. Here we go. Download Elasticsearch. Maybe that's what we're looking for. Someone just bought Elastic, I think, recently. I forgot who that was. All right, here we go. We got a download here. Let me put this in the link. Let me put this in chat. There we go. We'll download. And it's going to take a second. We got it right here. We'll give it a second to download. But yeah, it's always nice to see people doing, utilizing your hard work. So it's always nice to see that. But yes, there are still companies out there who just like to check the box with pen tests where they're just doing it because they have to do it. They don't really care what comes from it. But, you know, I guess to each their own. Those, as they say down here in the South, those chickens will come home to roost one day. You can't ignore security, but for so long before it eats you alive. Unfortunately, because we're always, whether you like it or not, we're always being poked and prodded by adversaries on the internet, and it's not a scare tactic. It's, this is a real thing. If you ever wanted to know how quickly websites get targeted by adversaries, go ahead and throw up a web server. You can just do a really, really tiny, it doesn't even have to be a web server actually. You can just, well, yeah, do web server, do just like a simple HTTP server or something like that. Throw it up in Amazon, AWS. They have a free tier, so keep it small so you don't get charged any money. And set up monitoring. So you could actually do a Debian or Ubuntu, and it's called I think it's Autoban or something like that. But either way, you could just watch the logs and see how often or see how long it takes before someone starts hitting it, and it'll be within a few minutes people just start hitting it. And that's the reality of the day is whatever's on the internet, people are going to hit, people are going to take advantage of. And you have to be ready for it. You have to put some sort of layers of defenses in place, especially if it's a business. Businesses, have things people want, whether it's data, money, bank accounts, whatever. They want it, they're going to sell it, they're going to do stuff. That's just how this world works these days. So if you're not a believer as a business today, you will be at some point probably. And I guarantee you, if you ask around, you go into a networking event for businesses and you ask at least 10 people, you'll probably find a handful that's either been hacked or know someone that's had a bad hack. That's just how it is today. Welcome, if you're joining us today, feel free to drop your well, I guess your comments too, but any questions you have down in chat, we'll have to answer them. We are setting up, now that we have a copy, we are going to set up Elastic and play with it so we can watch what that process looks like. But happy to answer any other questions if you have brought some with you today. And most of all, we're just here to enjoy the world of cybersecurity. So one of the things you want to be cognizant of if you're setting up a system at home is the resources you're allocating. SIEMs can eat up a lot of resources pretty quick because you have a couple of components there. You have one where you have to store the data you're collecting, right? So you don't have infinite drive space. However, you do have a finite number of things you're taking in logs. So if you're building one on your home network, you're probably not going to run out of storage very quick unless you're logging everything. Then you might. But that's something you need to monitor when you're setting it up, and we'll probably get into it where we're choosing the type of logs we want to bring in. But like I was saying, you have to be cognizant of resources. So storage is one of them. Processing is another one because the different components take up processing power. So if you're ingesting logs, that's requiring resources. Every time you search, that's requiring a different set of resources as well, the search head. And these components are often broken up. Well, almost every environment, they're broken up. And they have resources specifically, one for parsing logs, one for doing the searching, one for doing the user interface. So all these things are different components and they're working together to allow the analyst to do what they need to do, which is query stuff. And as organizations grow, right, the number of logs that are coming in that need to be parsed, the number of people actively doing queries, this is where they have to start expanding the resources they're providing for it. So creating additional search heads, creating additional parsers. All these things are required so that you're not sitting there for 5 minutes for a search to work. I've been in places where that's the case. We're doing a simple weak search in an environment and it's taken 30 minutes, which is insane, right? A lot of us have this skewed view of what utilizing a SIEM is like because we do it in a lab environment where there aren't that many logs, there aren't a lot of people on there, so everything's pretty quick. For instance, a lot of you have probably learned in the labs to do like search everything all the time, which is fine in a lab environment, but in the real world you can't do that. You're going to use up all your resources. You can't, I mean, you're talking about probably billions and trillions of logs you have to look through. You just can't do that in 5 seconds. You really have to narrow that time window and what bucket you're looking in, right? What index we're looking in, because it takes time. It's working really hard. And not only that, but you have a lot of things, if they're interacting with the SIEM, they're doing a bunch of background jobs and whatnot, and they're eating up resources. Even all your detection alerts are chewing up resources because there's typically queries running continuously in the background looking to see if anything matches certain, whatever that detection logic is. So that's also chewing up resources. So add that to your pile there. And so it's just a bunch of stuff. A lot of components go into this. It's not as simple as a lot of people think, which is why we're doing this, so we can talk about it and think about it, all those fun things. Next time I need to make sure I restart the system ahead of time. I actually took a nap today after work, so that's why I'm all out of sorts and we didn't have funky, fun music before this. But that's okay. Maybe we'll take a quick break. This is going to take forever. I don't want people to just look at me and listen to me chat for the next 30 minutes, however long it's going to take. Welcome. I just see some more people popped in the chat. Feel free to ask questions if you have any. What did you come here today for? And we'll see if we can answer some of those fun questions you have. All right, so I guess we can work on, what can we work on? Let's see. Oh, let's take a peek at, actually, we're going to go back over here. While that's running, maybe we can do stuff like look up Sysmon. So one of the tools that you will probably see in most environments is Sysmon. So let's talk about what Sysmon does for us, and we'll go ahead and download it right now. So we have different types of logs, right? So if you've been in the labs, you know this. We have different types of logs. Well, one of the logs we have in Windows are Win event logs, and there's several that are built in that we can enable. No biggie. And there's stuff like 4688s. Those are by default should be on for you. But we also have others like Script Block Logging. So what is that? 4620? No, not 24s. My brain's not working today. What is it? 4103 and 4104. There we go. I had to think about it for a second. Then we have those script block logging, so PowerShell logs. We have to turn those on. They are built in by default, but we have to turn them on. Then we have Sysmon, which are very similar to the Win event logs, but with a little bit more details. And there's additional logs in there that are also included that could be useful. So these are all tools that you have at your disposal as an analyst and things that'll show up. So I will say in most environments you will see Sysmon logs. This is a given. Even though they're not built in, they're an amazing tool and they're free. So a lot of organizations install them. Now we can play with these pretty easy, because they're pretty small. One of the things we do want to do is configure Sysmon, because we can actually install Sysmon and get it going. What we need to make sure we're doing is utilizing a config file to help us out here, but it may not matter, but we'll do it anyway. So we can say Sysmon GitHub. There's a really well-known Git repository that a lot of organizations actually use a modified version of, and it just helps narrow down the number of logs that are coming in, right? Because it's important. We don't want every log, especially if they're not useful. We want only the logs that are particularly useful. So that's what people do. So we're going to download this, and this will be the configuration file we want. We probably want to set things up a little bit better than we have right now. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and extract this. Now, I definitely encourage you, if you're doing this on your own system, and I need to drop this in chat. So we'll go ahead and drop this in chat. So this is the config file that people utilize right here. And then Sysmon itself is right here. And if I can get to the screen, this mouse is driving me nuts. It's at like 4%. I'll have to make sure I take this and charge it. All right, so you got both of those items there. Now we just have to install and we're good to go. So let's start by creating a drive, and I'm gonna just we'll just do tools here. I'm trying to organize a little bit, right? So let's see, tools. Let's do capital tools. We'll do tools here. Tools, let's go ahead and dive in here. We'll put this right here to the side for a second. And we also want, we could probably get rid of this. We can get rid of this and get rid of that. We'll go ahead and get rid of Procmon, get rid of that. Just trying to make it cleaned up a little bit for us. And we will take this, put Sysmon over here, and we'll also put this over here as well. Hey, Elle, how's it going? Welcome. We're just setting up Elastic so that we have something to play with at home. So feel free to follow along. I am dropping I'm dropping links in chat so you can install as we go along as well. But in the meantime, feel free to ask questions. What's your big win? Have you had a win the last week that you'd like to share? We got someone who completed a course, which was awesome. Awesome hearing. What you got? Can you top that one, Al? Welcome. Thanks for joining, though. All right, so now we have to kick off Sysmon. So we probably need to open up a terminal window. And I'm gonna right click and run as admin here. And there we go. And we'll take this. Let me hide this. There we go. Oh, we're already here. So CD tools. We're in docs is where we're at. CD documents. What is going on here? Oh, it hadn't even opened yet. This thing's driving me nuts. All right. So now what we need to do is compile our command, what we want. And I usually use a notebook to start doing this in. And this is something I definitely encourage folks to kind of figure out what works for them. Typically, as I'm building commands, I build them in a notepad so that I can modify here and then just copy and paste into my command prompt, because I find it very annoying to have to like go back to wherever I need to make changes. And also keep it in Notepad. I can save it for later, copy and paste out of there. I find it more or easier workflow there, but everyone do you. So what we need to do is we need to install, and then we need to provide a configuration file. So we're going to use our default configuration file. Here we go. Actually, you know what's, we probably have all this stuff on. Let's get rid of some of this junk. This is all from last week where we were doing some hacking. Unpin, go away. Don't need email either. Go away. Okay, cool. Lots of notepads here. Nope, don't save. Let me get rid of some of these notepads too. We got all this stuff open. That was from that. Okay, here we go. All right, so now we're gonna build our Sysmon command to install it with our configuration file. Again, we want to use Notepad so it's easy to do. Let's see, we got a comment in chat. L says that he was doing elk the other day in THM. Yeah, we were actually going to do We're going to do Splunk because Fitness said he prefers Splunk, but we couldn't get a download without giving a business email. So we switched over to this. What are you going to do? Right. But yeah, they're both good to learn. I would say also, just to throw this out here while we're building stuff out, just pick one, spend a lot of time in it, and you will be fine. Because they're all pretty darn similar. We're going to add this to our command. So any of these tools like this, if you run them in the command line, you always have to accept the EULA. So it is what it is. Let's see, we'll just add it to the end here. I think it'll work there. Now we still have to give it the config file name. So we're going to do /, and then we just have to, well, we may want to just give it the full path here. So what we can do is go over here, and we'll just copy the path out of here like this. And we don't need that now because we're just going to give it the full path. And then I'm going to just copy the name. Let's change the view because I want to see the file extension. There we go. I knew there was more there to it because if I didn't have the extension, I wasn't going to be able to find it. All right, if I can copy it, here we go. All right, so there's the path, and we'll do here. Oh, we lost our EULA. What the heck? Accept EULA. All right, so what do we have here? So we have Sysmon, and this is the command to run the executable. We have to make sure we're in the folder where our Sysmon is. The tac I, so tac dash, I don't know where I picked up tac, but dash, same difference. Dash, then we are going to point it at our config file. Notice we use the full path here. You could use a relative path if you would like. There's our accept EULA. It's right there in the middle. How'd that happen? There we go. And then we have accept EULA at the end, and that's just simply because it's going to ask if you are going to accept the user agreement, and it's going to automatically handle that in the command line for us. So if we did everything right, this should work, and it should do what we need to do. Wow, that's super slow too. So sad. All right, so let's go ahead and do it here. So Sysmon, it should work, and it's going to do its thing. This is like, I feel like I'm on one of those old school computers, the way it's going. I don't understand why it's so slow. I'm pretty sure it has like 16 gigs of RAM, 100 gig of storage space, and I forget, I think it has at least 8 cores it's using, so it just must need an update and a restart. So pretty tragic, but it's here, it's working. So looks like what we got here is that it's loaded the stuff. We see that it installed Sysmon 64. It installed the Sysmon driver. So important there. Driver so that it can get down to the kernel level to do what it needs to do. That's why. It started the driver, and it started Sysmon. It has started Sysmon. Now, if we pop on over into Task Manager, we should see Sysmon running somewhere, I believe. It should be in here because I'm pretty sure it runs at user level and then crops up at the kernel level, like passes through to the kernel. But let's just double check. Let's see if it's in here. There's Office. I don't know why that's running. Probably something dumb in the background. You should see Sysmon somewhere. I don't see it. What the heck? Details. Let's see if it's in details. There's no details. What's going on here? This is pretty sad. I'm sorry, folks, for the slowness that is my lab today. But I'm sure some of you will probably have very similar circumstances in your own. I'm going through this one more time, super slow, to see if I can find it. I was expecting it in here, but there could be a case where it's not in here, just the way it runs. Obviously, drivers aren't going to be in here, but there should be a Sysmon process. I remember Sysmon being a process. Sysmon. I just don't remember exactly where it's going to pop up at, which is sad. Maybe it's showing up under a service. Who knows? We should see a Sysmon service because it should start when the computer starts. So here's Sysmon running as a service. So here we go. So Sysmon is running. It's here as a service. Good. That's what I wanted to show you. Now we did that so whenever we have Elastic stood up, we're going to use file beats to make sure we're not only pulling our win event logs, but we're also going to pull the Sysmon logs. Now, what else could we enable that a normal company might enable? PowerShell. So let's look up how we can enable script block logging, because that's going to be another one. So let's see, enable script block logging PowerShell, and that is a mouthful. Don't try to say it 10 times fast. You might fumble on your words. It is it's a tough one. Let's see. Super slow. I feel like it should sing or make noises like an elevator while we're loading. Maybe that would be entertaining. I don't know. Probably not. Don't mind my Clemson Cup. They didn't do very good this year. That's okay. I got to be a fan of a more winning team this year. My fiance is a Patriots fan, so they're doing all right. We'll see how they do this week. This is so bad. I feel like I'm in a yeah. I'm gonna throw some stuff at Try Hack Me. I feel like I'm in one of Try Hack Me's virtual machines. So bad. Hello, Haram. Welcome. What's new for you this week? You do anything cool? You got some big wins to share? All right, so let's see how we can enable it. All right, let's just read through these directions here. Sometimes you have to have like a certain, like a professional one to do some of these, but sometimes not. So we could do it in the editor as well. And these are pretty fun too, because sometimes you'll see some attacks that turn these off via the registry, which is a good time. So let's go into Event Viewer. So this is viewing. So let's start here. So we'll run this. We're setting up elk on our lab here, Haram. So I'm dropping all the links and stuff in chat in case you want to follow along. And for those, if you want to watch the video, watch it on Twitch. That's where you need to go if you want to watch the replay. Check it out there. But yeah, you can follow along and set it up yourself at home. So Haram has started classes this Monday, networking and SQL. Wow, congrats, my two least favorite subjects. But I hope you have fun. Which one of those two are your favorite? Hopefully one of them is. Let's see. Group. This might not have group policy on it because it's a home edition or something like that. Let's see. Wonder why it's not showing up. That's probably why. Face blue smiling. I love where it describes the let's do the run menu, see if we can get to it like that. If not, we'll try the registry to do this. I am not a Windows admin, but I can fumble my way through doing stuff per my hacker heritage here. We are good at just breaking stuff in general. That's our superpower. Yeah, so it's not installed because of probably the version that we have, but We could probably do this in the registry, which is fine. Again, I definitely encourage you, if you are making crazy changes to your system and you want to play around, do it in a VM. All the VM software is now pretty much free. You have a couple of three options: Hyper-V, VMware, and what's the other one? VirtualBox. There we go. So you have three options. No excuse not to do it. Maybe your computer's not powerful enough. That is a good excuse not to do it. But if you are going to play around a lot, do it in a safe environment. So if you screw something up, you can roll back to a snapshot, which is me also saying make sure you snapshot as you're building stuff out and playing with it, so you can roll back if you do screw stuff up, because I encourage you to, screw stuff up so that you learn something, please. All right, let's see. So Haram doesn't like either. I'm with you, dude. This is his first session. Next session, you're taking on cybersecurity class. That one I am looking forward to. Sweet. I'm looking forward to you getting into cybersecurity myself. Hopefully you have some fun. All right, so what we need, let's see, enable group policy on Windows Home Edition. Oh, we can enable it. Interesting. Let's see where it wants us to go. I didn't know you could do this. This is kind of interesting that you can enable group policy. Maybe that's not what we want. We want... I'm over this Bing business, so let's see, enable script block logging, PowerShell. Let's see if it'll let us. So we know we can't do it this way, so let's do it via registry. Let's see if we can find this in our registry. So we'll just find it by hand here, see if we can get to it. So HKLM software. So let's see. HKLM is HKey local machine. So if you ever see HKLM, this is what it's talking about here, HKey local machine. It's just one of your hives here. And then we want to go to software. Then we want to go down to policies, Microsoft, Windows. It's not even in here. Really? Now, the interesting thing that we have to deal with is that home isn't the same as professional. So sometimes there's going to be a disconnect between the two, which is sad. And also Windows versions are different as well. So this could be, they could change the paths and stuff in depending on the Windows version. So this isn't surprising to me. Again, I'm not a Win admin. I've never been. I just learn stuff as I go. You don't need to know all this stuff. It's usually Googleable. So what we can also do is ask AI. Let's see, how do we do this on a home edition? Almost spelled out addition like math, and I didn't even spell addition right. Yes, go do homework, Haram. Thanks for joining us and watching. You're helping the stats, man. I appreciate you. It's all good stuff. All right, so I don't know why it's grayed out like this. This is kind of interesting. So how to use PowerShell. This is not what I asked at all. Let's see. How do I do this on Home Edition? Yep. All right, so let's see if we can do some of this. Oh, this is the manual one. So, oh, it wants us to add one. Interesting. I wonder if this will work. We have it saved, so it's all good. So right click, Windows folder, select new key. Let's do that, new key. Name it PowerShell. So this is where we could run into danger, right? Is when we start playing around with this stuff. Let me stress again, this is where we run into danger. So it's all good. things get a little wild here, but we'll get there. All right, key, and we're going to name it Script Block Logging. And now we're going to, and what does it say? New D word, bit value, name the value, and set it to 1. All right, so make sure this is spelled correctly. We're going to create a new value. What does it say? D word 32. We're going to name it enable script block logging. And we're going to set it to 1. So 1's probably like just a Boolean value. Let me make sure. Didn't tell us whether it was going to be hex or binary. I would guess it was binary, but who knows? So let's pop open PowerShell real quick. And we'll do a console write. I think is there, or let's see, maybe. This delay, man. This delay. What's crazy is, so the one thing that drives me nuts is always delays like this. It just drives me absolutely insane. And it's even worse when I do a pen test and I have RDP sessions set up through a VPN. So I'm through a VPN, and then I have another host that has VPN into my subnet, and then I connect to it via RDP. It's so slow. This is killer. I can't do this. It's not you, it's me. I want, give me ISE. There we go. All right, so yeah, it's horrible. It's so slow, but it's the only way without having to do all these crazy proxies, SSH proxying, to be able to do web browsing inside of an environment. That's why I do it. I do RDP. I enable RDP on my Kali box during pen tests solely because I want to be able to peruse the internal web services without having to do some funky stuff. I know, horrible. Oh, right host. That's what we want. I was trying to remember what the lingo is. Right host. Hi. Hi. There we go. Oh, sweet. You're welcome. Harem says, thanks for recommending Professor Messer. Yeah, he is. He's the OG. I'm pretty sure everyone has used Professor Messer at least once in their CompTIA studies. He has a really good, well, he's got really good stuff in general, but he has a good cheat sheet for ports and services that everyone swears by for the exam too, where he just memorizes those. You don't have to memorize everything, just those, and you'll be good on the exam. And not only that, but they're also really, really good for your SOC analyst interviews. I have no doubt you're going to be asked about ports and services during your exam, almost universally so. So just make sure you look over those after you pass your CompTIA exam, and then right before your interview, look over them. You'll be good to go. All right, so it's saying we should have logs now if we did it correctly. So we're going to go to Event Viewer. We got some good chat. I'll hop over into chat in a second. Just want to get Event Viewer up. So Fitness said he had a similar experience using Datto RMM to remote workstations in Kaseya dashboard. Kaseya, that's a fun story. I think Darknet Diaries has a fun story on Kaseya. Yeah. Do you imagine having to do that around the world and stuff too as an admin? I know some people have like global stuff going on. All right, so we're not getting the logs here. So we'd expect them to see, we'd expect to see them here is basically what it's saying. and we don't. Oh man, it just disappeared on me. And maybe, because we should be actually be in we should see Sysmon logs in here as well. I'm not sure why we're not seeing, but this is part of that engineering stuff, right? We have to figure out, troubleshoot stuff. It's part of the game. So we got another Darknet Diaries fan. Fitness, yeah, you're listening to some good stuff. He has really, really good stories. Great insight. You know, when I got started in cybersecurity, I wanted to hear stories. The stories get you super excited. He does an amazing job as a storyteller and getting people on there. Just a fantastic job. Was it Resider? What is it? What is his name? Jack Resider. There we go. Does an amazing job. Absolutely. So incredible. If you haven't heard of Darknet Diaries, let me put it in chat. Go look it up. If you're walking, if you're running, if you're riding your transit to work or whatever, great. Cutting your grass, absolutely great place to listen and catch up on what's going on. Incredible, absolutely incredible. I was going to add something else to it. What I should do, so I'm rebuilding my website. So I have a website now called theinfosekwizard.com. I'm going to redo it, but I also want to add in there, I think I'm going to add a section for books and podcasts. In podcast episodes, I highly recommend. Almost all of his Darknet Diary episodes are awesome, and it just depends on your interest too, because he has some, like, I don't really like the social engineering ones because it's not my jam. I hate social engineering, but some of the stories with like the ransomware type stuff, I love those. So he's got a little bit of everything for everyone. Check it out. I'm telling you. All right, so now that my computer is kind of loaded, we should potentially be able to see our logs, but I don't see the ones I expect to see. So they might be further down here. Let's see. PowerShell. Let's see if they're here instead. Ah, here we go. So this is where they are. This is what we're looking for here, the 4104. So this is script block logging. This is exactly what we're looking for. Actually, let me show you what's in these real quick. Stuxnet one is good. That's a really good one. There's a really fun one on DEF CON. There's a really good episode on that. And PPP, CTF team. There's a really good one on, and there's a really good book. So he did an interview with the author of So This Is How They Tell Me the World Ends, I think is how the name of the book, on the exploit market. Oh, so good. So good. Check that one out. There's another one on what's the tool called? The one out of Israel. It's not Zeus. Gosh, I can't even think of it now. Downside of having a fried brain for this thing. Gosh, how do I not think of this tool? I was reading something about it the other day, but great episodes. I don't know if I've seen the DigiNotar one, but so many good ones. So many good ones. So there you go. Take it from us. If you haven't checked it out, please do check it out. All right, so this is what we're looking at in these 4104s, folks. So you'll notice that there's some pretty similar fields to what we would expect in process creation log. So this is if you've dove into a SIEM at this point. Some of you may haven't. Let me know in the chat if you've hopped in a SIEM before, because I know someone said they've been in Elk. Someone said they like Splunk. We got 5 people watching right now. So what else do we have? We got any other SIEM folks in here? So very similar fields. The big field we really want to pay attention to are this script block text. So this one doesn't have a lot of good stuff in it. Let's see if we can find one. So this is what we did. So remember, I just did write host hi. So this tells us exactly what's running in the PowerShell console. That's why it's so powerful. And it also, fun fact, if you did any encoding right? You executed an encoded command, you're going to see the decoded command in here. So whenever you see a PowerShell command that's like PowerShell -inc enc, this will show you the decoded portion of that. So it's just base64 encoding. So it'll base64 decode it for you, and you can see it that way. So all those phishing things we see out there where they're having a user execute PowerShell, we're going to be able to see it in these logs. That's why they're so powerful. Lots of stuff takes advantage of PowerShell. As an attacker, a fake attacker, I have avoided PowerShell quite a bit because everyone just has script block logging and enabled in the commercial space, and I try to stay away from it now. But, you know, a lot of folks don't. A lot of the offensive people don't. It's very, very good. Azure Sentinel. Yep, we got another one here. Cool. Let's see if we can find Sysmon in here as well. Sysmon should pop in here, right here. So here's our Sysmon logs. I will admit, I don't know what was turned on in the config file because we didn't actually look. I just grabbed the default one. So who knows? But we have event code ones, which is our process creation logs. So we're going to see some good stuff. You should be very familiar with these as an analyst. We have file create logs, very good one too. We have what is this? Let's see if I can shrink this a little and make this one a little bit bigger. We have create remote thread. So this is a pretty interesting one, right? We're talking about process injection, all that. Create remote thread, registry values. This is probably all from us screwing around with stuff. Let's see. But registry changes happen a lot on the back of it anyways. Yeah, this is us. Look at this. This is us. So it caught us playing around in PowerShell. So this is all the stuff we expect to see, right? We want to see an admin or bad guy changing stuff on an operating system, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Look at this. Look, this is exactly what we typed in. So point taken, you know. There you go. That's why it's so powerful. Look at that. It caught us. You know, we're just doing some admin stuff, but there you go. So if you were wondering, that's why it's great. Now let's see where we're at with Elastic. I'm really tempted to restart this thing because it's driving me up a wall. All right, so we have it. Here's bins. How do we install this? That's what I want to know. All right. How do we execute Elastic? So this is it. It might tell us. And then we just need to run bin elastic bat. So let's do that. Let's navigate to Elastic. This downloads. Oh, didn't like that. So we're going. We go back to tools, documents. Oh, we got to do one more. Didn't go back far enough. There we go. There we go. And then Elastic. Boom. All right. So we should have ended up where we need to go. And nope, we need to go one more. Elastic. All right. Let's see. We're looking for that bin or that bat file. My guess is it's going to be in the bin. So we're going to go cd bin. And then we're going to drop this in here, bin elastic. Oh, there it is. So we'll actually. So bat file, for those of you who don't know, is just a string of commands that are going to be executed. So I don't know what it's going to do, but it's going to start Elastic for us. It should. But while it's doing its thing, because it probably has a lot of stuff to do, we're gonna read our directions. But it looks like it has. This should be what it needs to start. So we need to let it do its thing in the background, but we should be able to hop into Elastic in a moment. And the next thing we need to do is start getting logs in. So we'll look over here, and we're gonna look to see how we can start ingesting logs, which ones we want to pick to ingest. So this is going to be the Sysmon we created, those PowerShell ones, and all the Win event logs we have. We want those to surface in Elastic. Hopefully this bad boy runs fast enough so we can get to it in this time frame. But yeah, we're making progress. We're making progress now. Imagine doing this in an entire enterprise with thousands of computers. And troubleshooting each one of them. Some of you are probably have an eye twitching if you're in the IT space and imagining doing that. You're probably like, ugh, I don't want to. I don't want to do it. It's tough. It's tough. All right, so let's see. We're looking for maybe deploying. So we don't want a cloud deployment platform. I know we're going to need FileBeat, but we're going to need the SIEM up first. All right, so it's rocking and rolling here, it looks like. I would imagine. Okay, so it's doing some work here. Let's ask chat. I'm going to reload this because this is grayed out and it's weird looking. Let's ask it. Okay. Is it going to let me type? Oh, there we go. It did. How do I start? How do I get logs into Elastic SIEM? We'll ask that. Since we're having such a good conversation here, are there any other great podcasts out there people have listened to that they really enjoy? I'll throw one out. I really enjoyed Malicious Life. I think they have stopped doing new episodes, but they're pretty cool. All right, so let's see what else. So Elastic Agent, follow the setup in Kibana under Fleet, add agent, add the Windows integration, configure PowerShell log collection, save and deploy. Step 3, use WinLogBeat, install LogBeat, edit this, add the PowerShell operational channel under the Win events, enable the PowerShell module, verify in Elastic. All right, so one, we need Elastic up first, I think. We're letting it do its thing. It's still adding it. Yeah, the episodes should still be up on Spotify and the other platforms, but they had some really, really good ones. Those were the two I'd switch out. So I used to do a ton of hiking, and I'd just switch between the two. And I do a ton of running now, and I am ashamed to admit I haven't listened to a podcast in a long, long time. I've been listening to books instead, but highly recommend it. I'm sure I'm missing some great episodes. I'm trying to think if there's any other really, really cool ones I've listened to. I'm sure there are some good ones. I know there's a web app hacker that had a really good one before, and I forgot the guy's name, but he was a bug bounty hunter. He had a really good one. I will tell you a good YouTube content creator, Stoke, not Snoke. Snoke is from Star Wars. Stoke, he's a really good channel to follow if you like bug bounty stuff. Cyberwire Daily, I've heard that's a good one. I always like my blogs, the podcast to be like hours long for whatever reason. And so some of them, there's a lot out there that are just like news daily that I don't listen to because they're so short. But hey, we got to have a call out to Jerry and his group. So Simply Cyber, I know he has a bunch of stuff going on. Some really, really good ones. Very high octane. He always seems like he's had a ton of coffee when he's doing it. Good stuff though. He has a really good environment and community. Really, really good stuff. Let's see if we can log into it yet. See how, let's see, what port is Elastic on? We might be able to try to log into it now. Let's just try, that's the API. We don't, the web interface is 5601. So let's see, 127.0.0.1. What did we say, 5701? $56.01, sheesh. Sheesh. So I guess we can close out of this because we're done with that. We're done with that. Well, probably gonna have to check to make sure we have that up and running. We can get rid of this. I'm just trying to clean up our workspace here a little bit. So it looks like we have some stuff started here. Maybe it's 000. I don't know. So I do, sometimes it's loopback, sometimes it's not, and it's probably HTTPS, but usually we would see an indication that that's not the case there. Let's see, maybe it's on a different port. Usually there's just a port and we connect to it and we're good to go. But I also don't know if it's done working. So let's see, after running the elastic bat file, how do I connect to the web interface? Let's see if it'll tell us. So it's saying this should work. Nope, didn't work. So maybe something's still running here. Let's see if we see any errors in here. So this is that engineering stuff that's not super fun. And I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here as we do it, as kind of how I do everything, which is probably pretty annoying to a lot of people I work with. I just like to figure stuff out as I go. It can be very annoying. I know this is it. Failed to retrieve node, Elasticsearch discovery, closer block, blocked by service unavailable, state not recovered. So it looks like something wasn't started perhaps. Transport SSL must be enabled. If security is enabled, please select. Okay, so let's ask this to, okay, walk me through setting up Elastic in my lab from the download. All right, let's see. This is a great thing. It's it should be pretty straightforward. On the first run, Elastic will generate security keys, copy and save the following from the terminal. Opening a PowerShell window as an administrator, navigate to the Kibana folder. So we didn't get a key, but we also didn't do Kibana.bat. So let's run another one here and see if we can get Kibana working. Because so Elastic, it used to be called Elk because there's multiple layers, multiple tools that are working together to create that SIEM experience. Sounds like kind of a like a spa club or something. Oop. CD, there we go. And so it makes sense. So let's say we need to go to cd dot dot. I always do ls. So this is all just Elastic. I don't see the Kibana piece here. CD bin dir unless they have it here. So I'm looking through this to see if there's anything in here. I just see Elasticsearch. So what a shame here. All right, so I don't see, so download and unzip Elasticsearch, start Elasticsearch. Windows, dive in. So it seems pretty easy. However, there's clearly something missing here. Elastic can be installed on Windows using zip archives. This come with a command which will set up Elastic to run as a service. All right. Before you start, review, blah, blah, blah. Download the latest. So we got Elasticsearch. Okay. What is this? What is this command? Some features automatically create indices by default. However, if you have disabled automatic index creation in Elastic, you must configure in YAML to allow features. If you're using Logstash or Beats, then you most likely require additional index names. All right, so looks like we have to potentially do some of this stuff here, maybe. So let's open up one of these files and take a peek. Let's close out some of these. So what is it? They want us in Elastic YAML. Elasticsearch.yaml. That's how you say that if you're wondering. Elasticsearch.yaml should be, it might be over here. Maybe in config. There we go. All right, so here we go, and we don't want to open with we want Notepad. There we go. Popped up. All right, so this is where it can become stressful, right? Because there's a lot of stuff we're playing around in things we've never seen in our lives, and it can be very, very scary and overwhelming. It's okay. It's okay. Relax. Relax. Take it easy. We'll get to where we're going. All right, so first things first is in the configuration file, uncomment cluster name, my application, and give it the Elastic instance name you would like, such as this. We don't really care, so we'll leave it. So we're just looking for cluster.name, right here, my application. All right, we'll save that. Now what? Now what do you want us to do? Now uncomment network host and replace the default address. By default, runs on localhost. So we don't care. We want it to run on the local host. All right. We don't care about that. Enroll the node in existing cluster. Run Elastic from the command line. So it's supposed to start up all this stuff. You can start Kibana and enter the enrollment token, which is valid for 30 minutes. This token applies. Security settings. We don't really care about the security settings. So let's just restart this. See what happens. We're going to restart it. I don't know why it didn't work, but we're going to restart it and see what happens with it. We're going to run it again. It should. It also said it was going to give us some security keys. I didn't see any security keys that it was allegedly supposed to print out for us, unless this is it here. Zip bill. No, that's a bill number. I don't see a security key. Probably not something I want to share on here, but I don't see one anyways. So whatever. It's not like it's tied to me. I don't really care. Is that it? Nope, that's the name. So what we're looking for here is errors to figure out why it's not working. So what I was expecting, and pretty much what happened when I did Splunk before, is I started it up and then like that was it. Pretty simple. You hop into the web browser and then you do all your stuff in the web UI. That hasn't been the case for this thus far, but I don't know what's breaking, and we have to figure out what's breaking so that we can get into it. So obviously the web interface isn't starting up, which we would expect to see. We also don't see a security token, a password, or anything being generated, which could just be where it needed to do some stuff broke, and it needed to be restarted. So we do see here where it's talking about security is enabled, it's parsing roles. So it's doing some stuff it's supposed to do. Now we see it initialized and it's starting. So maybe we're going to get something new that we didn't get before. Here we go. So we do have some IP addresses being generated. We see it doing some stuff on the local host. So maybe it just needed to be restarted. Maybe it just kind of choked itself. And that's fine. Stuff happens, right? Stuff happens. So, all right. So if it doesn't work, we may just be on the wrong port or something, which is odd. Let's see. We saw some stuff here where it was telling us published address is 9300. Let's see if this does anything for us. Maybe yes, maybe no. Let's see, 9300. And this could be like the wrong interface, as in it's not expecting us to interact with it in this way. So I'm not sure what's going on. Let's see, is not enabled on this node. SSL request received, but is not enabled. So it is getting our connection. Let's feed this to let's feed this to AI. This part here where it's saying the settings is not found. Might not matter though. And what we might want to find is the Elastic Lab setup. Oh, cybersecurity. Let's see if anyone has a how-to guide set up, and we'll check that out. Why is it so slow? I can't stand Bing. It's so slow. Let's see. We don't want to create a cloud. This one might be super old, but we'll try it anyways. Things change so fast in like 2 years. Oof, so much could have changed. If you're new here, feel free to ask any question that you like. Drop it in chat, and we'll chip away at it. Let's see, Elastic. All right, create a free Elastic. So we don't want to do cloud. I don't want to do cloud. Let's see. What's funny is I used Grok for the first time the other day because I was trying to ask about a specific exploit and ChatGPT wouldn't answer me. And I thought it was going to be a lot more because everyone's talking about how there's no guardrails or anything with it, but it really wasn't as atrocious as I was hoping because I wanted it to give me exploit stuff. So I guess props to X for not making Grok as wild as it could have been. Let's see. Don't want a video. That's a long time. We need something recent. This one's 1 year ago. Let's check that out. This out. Maybe I have to put together something if I get this thing to work. Download, extract the zips, configure, go to instead of extract elastic config, edit the search file. Oh, this is what we were in before. All right, we'll do this anyways. I don't think this should have affected us, but we'll do it anyways. Sure. This might work. See if there's anything else. Let's see, install the service. So this is telling us to install the service, which is fine. We can install the service. So with me, when I'm like thinking through this, I'm like, well, they're telling us to do it this way, but why? Why are they asking us to do the service? Does it really matter? Theoretically, no, we shouldn't have to install the service to get it working. The service just ensures that it starts up every time the system reboots. But, you know, whatever. I just want it to work. And this is one of those cases I would say, get it to work. And get it to work one way, and then we can go back and figure out how to make it a smaller workflow. So it's a lot easier for other people to do. That's typically what I do. Like even with programming, you'll see that I just build, get it to work, and it could be massive, right? It could be thousands of lines of code, and then you start optimizing, refactoring your code until it's maybe like a couple of hundred lines of code. And that's just how it goes. That's just life, if you will. All right, so, oh, this is going to make me, I don't want to, man. I don't want to sign up for an account, but it's going to make me. I'm going to do it over here, and I'm going to sign up with my InfoSec Wizard one, even though I don't really want to. Because I hate Medium. Medium is one of those sites I absolutely hate. It's disgusting to me because they're making me sign up for an account to read the stuff. It drives me nuts. It's probably good for the for the creators, probably, but for folks like you and I, it drives us. Well, it drives me nuts. And I'm not going to speak for everyone. It drives me nuts because it's so much friction. Like you're making me do all this crazy crap, go through all this stuff, and I really, really just want to read the information, which I guess is the point, right? The information is good enough that you'll sign up for an account. Drives me nuts. Drives me nuts, people. Let me know in chat if it drives you nuts, or is it just me? Does everyone else like that stuff? Surely not. Surely I can't be the only one here. Don't make me feel like I'm the only one here, people. All right, so we got some kind of action going. So we're starting the service, I believe, is all we're doing here. Potentially. I don't know what's in the bat file. Again, and we can look at the bat since we're exploring tonight. Why not, right? We're just exploring, so let's take a peek. The bat file. So we did the service one, so let's take a peek at it. So we can open it. Open with, I wanted to do open with. We can do edit. Edit should open it up in something else. No, I don't want to run it. What we can do is open up a notepad though. File open. It's asking us for text documents. We don't really care. There we go. So this is what a bat file look like, or a batch file. So bat stands for bat, and it's just like a series of commands. So that's what you see here, a series of commands. And they're just providing like for this, start was the command, and so it's just passing it through, but it's pretty simple, right? So not much here. It's its own little language. So definitely Google if you've never seen a bat file or ever heard of it. It's probably something cool for you to check out. It's just a series of commands that are going to be interpreted on the system. You could just run, you know, whatever command you would run in the command line, you could put in here as well, and it would do it. All right, so the next thing it's telling me to do here is it's telling me now to run elastic bat, and then I should be able to open it up in, so this command, and I'll share this link if it actually works, but this command is supposed to do all the do for us, but this is also the one we ran before. What we're looking for is it to open up a service on 9200, but it has not at this point. So saying there's a configuration error, talking about is a ownership difference here. Now it's doing all this module loads and stuff that it was doing before. The question is it actually going to allow us to log in? And I'm hoping it does. So, so let's do, so it might be Kibana that we need, actually. Maybe that's where the issue is, because this might just be a search head. And that might be what's driving me nuts. Because we have, what, elastic. Yeah, okay. So this is probably why it's not working, because it's two pieces. So you have elastic, the E, but Kibana I think is the actual web interface. So Excuse me, folks. I'll take this one, this hit. I'll be the idiot tonight. I will be the idiot tonight. Hopefully, it doesn't take a long time to do its thing, to unpack and all that. But this is what I was talking about earlier in the podcast, or I was about to say podcast. We're not podcasting tonight. We're streaming. This is what I meant earlier in the stream, where there's different components. Because there really are. There's one piece that does all the logs, grabs and handles all the logs, and there's another piece that the user or the analyst like you and I would interact with to do stuff. And if I remember correctly, and who knows, Kibana is going to be the piece we need to actually interact with it. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. All right, so, which means I might have been correct where we didn't need to do the service. We were fine there. What we needed was to just download this and execute it. And what it's going to do, so 9200 wasn't the port we went to. Well, we weren't able to get to it anyways, although it says we're supposed to see JSON. We're not seeing the JSON. But we'll see what happens. We'll start it. There might have to be some troubleshooting that I'll have to do. I will be happy to do a video and do a blog post on this if I have time. Just not in the next couple of weeks because I'm in the middle of a pen test while I work a full-time job. So I am a busy man at the moment. But when I get free, I'm happy to give you some of my time. All right. It'll be great if I can get it to work. I also need to activate the windows. I bet that's slowing some of this crap down too. Man, we're almost at time. I'll stay a little bit longer to see if we can work through this. Doesn't hurt my feelings whatsoever. So I have to get to a point of completion. Just is what it is. While we wait, what's going on in chat? We got a few people on YouTube, one on Twitch. How are you guys doing this evening? I know one of our folks is door dashing, which we appreciate you out there working hard and hustling and learning while you do your thing. What's everyone else doing tonight? It's a fine Thursday evening. Trying to think if there anything cool I learned this week that would be cool to share. Let's talk about this is how we learn. Let's talk about some of the resumes and stuff I looked at this week. So professionally, right? I didn't have any come in, or we'd be doing them right now. But I have looked at some. I have looked at some candidates for my role. So I think we only have one tier 1 role open right now. It's out in Hawaii. But we are going to actually have an evergreen role opened up so that we can, I don't know, we got to work through it, but it's so people have a place to apply. You can always, I think there's an open place where you can always submit a resume anyways, but so some of the roles we're getting people, we put in the minimum requirements of either a bachelor's degree in 0 experience, or I think it's 3 years experience with no degree. And we had some folks apply where they didn't meet the minimum requirements, and we had to deny them. That's fair. A lot of folks are out there, just hustling, grinding away, right? Just putting in applications where they can and hoping. Yeah, unfortunately for us, it's not something we can bend on. It's a government requirement. Same with like some of the other things of being a U.S. citizen and all those things. It's just the nature of my work. So if you're wanting to put in, there are some things that we have to be careful with. But for other companies, I would say it's definitely worth a shot putting in your application. You never know. especially if they're having trouble finding good candidates, like really good candidates, and they're holding out. And what I mean by good candidates is not just that they're looking for someone that just looks absolutely phenomenal on paper, but them looking phenomenal on paper, but can also perform in the interview. That could be some of the stuff they're looking for. I know for us, we've seen a lot of people with some great looking resumes, but they don't do well on the interview. And this is why, like, you see me preaching about getting your hands on stuff, because that's what's going to help you get through the interview. So what if you have somehow socially engineered someone to interview you? If you can't get through the interview, you're not getting the job anyways. You know what I mean? Um, so you still have to pass that test. So it's tough. You gotta be on both sides there, where not only does your resume look good, but you can perform. And I will tell you, in some cases, I know people are really quick with their finger on the resume submission trigger, but there are some organizations, if you are declined, you are not eligible for an interview for 6 months to 2 years. You can't apply again. Some organizations have that policy. I don't know that we have that policy. Don't know. But I know some organizations will. I've heard of them blackballing you and instantly denying your resume for the future, until that time threshold expires. So just be aware of that. Some big organizations, I'm talking about like these big companies, that's what they'll do. So if you submit too early, you're killing yourself, or you're removing the chance for the near future that you can apply again. So just realize that. All right, excuse me, sorry about that. L says, I'm working on my resume, wanting to send it over soon for the roast. Yes, please do. I thought we were going to have a couple of resumes tonight. I had a couple of people say, hey, I think it was two or three people that said, hey, can you roast my resume? Where do I send it? Send it to the cyber, or what is it? What is my thing? The InfoSec Wizard. I'll drop it in here. Please send it over to me. We'll roast you on the next stream. I'm sure after a while people will start hearing about the free roast, and we'll have a lot of them, but I'll still try to get to as many as I can. So that's the email. You can send them to me. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I will tell you, I have learned a lot of stuff in my position as a hiring manager now. A lot of stuff I didn't know. There's a lot of reasons, as a practitioner, we think there are a lot of policies are stupid. Believe me, I know I did, when I was a young and strong or hard-headed practitioner. But there's a reason for them. There's a lot of compliance stuff that organizations have to deal with HR, right? They get audited and all these things. So a lot of times, we say these policies are dumb, but there are laws in place, and these organizations have to do things to adhere to these laws. So that blockballing thing, that isn't, maybe not part of that, but some of these other policies that you'll see may be part of it. Maybe part of that having to be, follow the policies, make sure they follow the law, all of these things, and be fair and impartial. So that's a big chunk of the HR side, that a lot of people don't see. So they're trying to be fair across the board for everyone, and give everyone who is eligible an equal chance at interviewing and getting the job. So there's a lot of things in place that are there designed to essentially protect you, and it may not feel that way in some cases, but it is there. So hopefully, some of the stuff I talk through, and I'll drop little nuggets, and I have to be careful too, because I don't want to speak for any organization in particular, just trying to spread awareness, right? To help folks who are like yourselves, like Al, like Fitness, who are looking to get into the community, get their first role, be prepared and know kind of what's going on in the background. But yeah, yeah, so those labs and stuff, you've probably seen me say it on the roast. I've actually asked to add that to our application, where people have a chance to place all those labs they're doing. So it's an additional question, because I want to see those. If I don't see them on a resume, I'm probably not going to interview you, even if you have a Sec Plus. I want to see that you've gotten hands-on stuff. I really, really do. And I will tell you, if you hop on LinkedIn and you see any other hiring managers, there's a couple on there that are pretty prolific, and they will say very similar things. So I would say it's a pretty common thing for hiring managers to say, hey, we want to see you have hands-on experience. It saves us time. I promise you, it saves us time if we hire people that are further along in the development process of their skills. So that's why it saves us time, and it's a business at the end of the day. So we have to meet the needs of our customers and contracts, which means we have to make sure we hire people that are going to help us get to where we want to go. So just keep that in mind. Things are business at the end of the day. And business always comes first. If we can't make our company's money, we're doing our job poorly. So that's part of the the hiring piece too, right? We have to make sure we're doing our customers justice, by making sure we bring in the right people into the roles. Man, this thing's taking a while here, Kibana. But yeah, any questions? So that it seems like that was a new thing. People haven't heard about the blackballing thing. Are there any other questions about the hiring process you may have run into, or the interview process that you're curious about? Or you're like, oh, I wonder why they do that. Definitely will do my best to answer them. But there are some fun stuff. And while people are typing, while this thing is loading, something else to keep in mind: interviewers are all different. We're all different. You'll have some that just blast through technical questions. I don't like to do that personally. I think for me, I want to get folks comfortable enough that it kind of frees up their brain, right? If I stress you out the whole way, you're going to do probably pretty poorly, or most people are going to do poorly on the interview. So I'll rotate hard questions with soft questions in an effort to make sure I get you to relax, especially if you're starting to do really bad. I'll try to ease off, and give you a chance to relax and answer some questions, and give you some softball ones to chill out. So for us, it's a government requirement. I work in the government space, so that's why. I mean, it's not a dumb question. Certain organizations have different requirements. For us, it's a hard, gotta do it. And it's a government thing, not a us thing. For other companies, they're willing to do that. So a lot of startups, they'll take you with no experience, with maybe a certification, maybe associates, or maybe no degree. I have a couple of friends with 0 degrees, with a handful of certifications. So you never know. I look at this stuff, and what I suggest folks to look at, it's everything you do to add to your resume, you're increasing the odds that you get hired, because you're kind of raising your stock. And so your resume is kind of climbing to that pile of all the resumes that are going into the mix and giving you the shot to interview. And then when you interview, all that work you're putting in, like listening to crazy people like myself, and looking at videos at night, you're increasing your chance that you're going to do well in the interview, because you're loading your brain up with that knowledge. But good question. Good question. It's just a requirement. I have no control over whatsoever. Government stuff. Personally, if you had a bunch of labs, a good certification, then you'd be good with me. I prioritize talent and capability over anything else. I don't really care. But the hard part is the hiring manager has to be able to see that in your resume to give you a chance, because we're looking at you. When we're looking at it, we know nothing about you except what's in front of us. So from that piece of paper, I have to be able to see, I think this guy would be able to cut it, or gal would be able to cut it in this industry, in this role, and do a good job. So think about that, right? If they're looking at it without any context of you, would they see, hey, I think I should give this person a shot. So play devil's advocate for yourself. So Fitness says, I get super nervous I guess I didn't share that. I was going to share it. Super nervous in interviews. I froze a lot on the technical questions with my last ever internship interview, but it was a learning experience. I knew the answers, but I couldn't think clearly because of the nerves. Yeah. And that is a tough thing. A lot of folks in our industry get super, super nervous. I know I do. Almost everyone does. For me, I take a personal responsibility to make sure I can help candidates relax so I can get them to put their best foot forward, right? So for me, I know that this kind of stress is getting in the way of you performing at your best, and so I try to address that and kind of create a type of environment that will help you. So I'll be a little bit more relaxed. I'm more conversational, and I'll go kind of flex and bounce around in it's to create that environment. But some don't. Some, like, I've been in interviews where they just go in on you. I've been in where there's panels where you have 4 or 5 different people just asking you questions, bouncing around like a ping pong. But you never know. Everyone is different. Some people, it's all about experience too. People just aren't trained well to interview well. I've been in an environment when I was lucky in my first job. I actually started being able to interview people after 6 months. I was also a shift lead as well, but they did a really good job of teaching me that. And so that's how I go about it, just because someone taught me that way and it made sense to me. Um, but you never know what you get. Also with candidates, you never know what you're going to get. I'm telling you, you never know. Candidates are wild. I have some where, I've been in interviews where you can hear them on the keyboard looking up answers in Google. And some you can hear them like thinking out loud, right? They're trying to make you think they're out loud, and you hear them, let me see about that question. Yeah, that's a really good question. They're like looking at a camera like that. Like, it's so funny. People are wild. Um, but and the AI is a thing now too. You can just have it listen and be able to answer questions. And so we're kind of in a position where we have to make stuff AI proof as much as possible. It's an interesting world today, very interesting world. So what are the technical questions like? Yeah, really good question, Al. Let me put that up on the screen so folks can see it. Technical questions for SOC interviews are typically, for the most part, they're kind of in line with the stuff you'd see in a Sec Plus. Plus, stuff that you would do in, say, like try hack. Excuse me. Wow, I'm over here drinking my beverage and now I got hiccups. Things you'd see and like try hack me. So that's why I also tell you to get in there and get experience, because you're probably going to get questions about how would you investigate this thing, or maybe here's a log. Tell me about what you're seeing in this log. So it's really stuff that's super applicable. At least ours are super applicable to the job. Some of them aren't. Some of them are straight Sec Plus. My first job, they pretty much asked straight Sec Plus questions. Whatever. Some ask very role specific questions. So I like to have I like to see a realistic kind of I want to see how a person would do in the actual things they would be doing on the job. So I try to keep everything as realistic as possible. Not everyone does that. Again, different things. Interesting. Were you fitness doing an insider threat one, or was it like a normal SOC analyst? Because there are insider threat roles, but maybe they were just doing that as a scenario. Like, let's say, what's a good question that you may get on an interview? So say, let's see. So say you had Susie who logged into her Gmail and uploaded a 5 GB file. How would you investigate that? That could be something you would see. Let's see. Fitness said, how can they utilize an EDR to their advantage? So could you refine that? So are you saying how could an insider utilize an EDR to their advantage, or how could a SOC analyst use the EDR to investigate the insider threat? Because I could see that question posed in either one of those ways. Oh man, this thing's still chugging along. I might have to bounce in a few minutes, but we have a good conversation. We'll finish up this conversation here. But yeah, that's a good question. Or Say you're given a hash for an executable. What types of steps would you take to determine whether it's good or bad? And then tell me why. Like that would be a good one that's super applicable. Or let's see, say someone executed a executable on a host. What types of steps would you take to determine whether it fully executed and what all it did after execution? That could be a good question. Just stuff like that, right? Or how does DNS actually work? That's a really good question. Um, just stuff like that, right? It's super, super applicable. Can you tell me about Sysmon logs? What type of logs are in there? Or tell me about process creation logs. What are they? How do they work? Tell me about process hierarchy. What is it? How does it work? But like a lot of stuff related to on the job again. And it's hard to be able to answer those in a way that shows that you have a firm grasp if you don't get your hands on in these labs that I keep talking about. You just got to, because what happens too, and what we do and what I do, what I imagine most experienced people will do is we ask you a question, right? You answer, and then we go into the bits and pieces of your answer. And that is where you having that hands-on comes into play, because you can start what do they call it, rifting or riffing, where you're continuing to follow through with your answer, and you're able to answer these because you know exactly, well, I would do it because of this, and this is what I would expect to see because of this, and if that wasn't there, then I do this. But you've been there, you've done that, you have a lot of knowledge and experience to lean on, even if it's not on the job. That lab experience is almost the same as on the job experience, in a sense that you're building that exposure to the tools that you're utilizing. Almost the same difference. Sure, there's some nuances for like doing it for real, but it is really, really good experience. People don't do it enough. Oh, here's another fun one. Actually, here's a fun thing that's popped up recently. So some people get in there and they just buzzword like chainsaw, like buzzword chainsaw, and just throw out stuff. And whether they're nervous or not, they're just trying to hit the answer somewhere in there, and that's going to get you in trouble. A lot of people just lean so far on buzzwords, but what trips you up if you do that, and you may do that if you get nervous, if you don't actually understand those buzzwords, you're going to be in trouble because they're going to follow up and ask more questions about those buzzwords you're slinging to make sure you truly understand what you're talking about. So be very, very careful. Anything you do or say will be held against you in the court of interviews. So that goes with whatever's on your resume as well. So all that it's fair game in an interview. So just be ready to talk to it. All right, with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this up here to finish loading. I'm going to sign off for today, but I'm going to let this load and we'll see if I'll see if it actually works. And if it does, I'll do a video where I'll walk through all this again. This is just, I think this is just an extraction portion. It's just taken forever because it's a big file. But we'll walk through this. I'll restart this stupid system as well too, but I'll make sure everyone has an opportunity to see me go through this lab, and then you can ask questions in the Discord channel or the free community when I start dropping that out there. But we'll get there, and then that way you have something to follow along with if you want to stand up your own Elastic Lab and start getting some experience in doing some fun stuff. We have one last comment. This is a really, really good comment from L. He says, I was told, or she, I think it's a he though. I was told if you don't know the answers, just say you don't know right now. Yes and no. So what I would advise, and this is what I do, and this is what I would also recommend, is say, I'm not sure, but I'll give it my best shot. This is what I think, and explain your logic for your answer. And if you get it wrong, you tried, and you're at least telling them your thought process, and you're showing your depth of knowledge still, right? But if you're right, you just got bonus answers because you just logicked your way to an answer, just based off of your experience. So it's a win-win either way. You're already setting low expectations. You don't know, but you're going to give it a try. That is what I suggest, not just saying you don't know. Because if you say you don't know to every question, you're going to be in trouble. But if you get a couple of them reasoned through, you're going to be good. But all right, with that, we'll sign off. Make sure if you're not subscribed, you subscribe. If you want to watch the video later, hop on Twitch. That's where they'll be. And if you have any questions, drop them in the community, drop them in the videos that are released on a daily basis. So shorts are coming out on a daily basis. At least one video a week is coming out on YouTube. And if you have anything you would like for me to go over, I am happy to do so. You just gotta let me know. There hadn't been a ton of comments about, hey, do this thing, Mike. But I promise I'm happy, very happy to do it. And keep bringing these questions, L Fitness, everyone in here who's been asking really good questions, keep them coming. You don't know unless you ask. All right, with that, we'll sign off. Everyone have a good week. I wish you the best. Happy hacking and good luck with all your endeavors. And until then, see you.